Welcome back to the module Communication Theory Learning Outcome 1. In previous session, we discussed about the map and the ML receiver using binary symmetric channel, and we identified that map receiver is optimum receiver. The concept of conditional probability is used both map and ML receiver, and we studied about the important probabilities like likelihood probabilities, a posteriori probabilities, and a prior probabilities. Today's session, we are going to discuss about the discrete random variables and the cumulative distribution function. The first topic, random variable. So the random variable is a function which produces the numerical outcomes for the sample points in the sample space. Um, so for example, if you take the tossing a coin, it produces the two possible outcomes. It may be a head or it may be a tail. But in sample space, we are representing by H or T because it is a character. But in communication theory, we need to represent the outcomes of the sample points in terms of numerical values. So it is called as random process. Example for a random process, a noise voltage and the digital messages. So the instantaneous value of the noise voltage is a numerical values. Okay, and second example, in the digital messages, errors in the digital messages. Okay, at the receiver, the received messages which contain the some errors. It is a random event. Okay, and it will be represented by the numerical values. It may be a one error or it may be a two error and so on. Okay, so the random variable, generally we are using the definition. It is a function that generate the numbers from the outcomes of a chance of experiments. Okay, and then the second definition, it is a rule or it is a relationship, and it is denoted by the letter capital X. Okay, that assign a real number x of x to every point in the sample space S. And we can say that the random variable x maps the outcomes in the sample space into the numbers along the real line, which is varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. And but the 2 points in the 2 point, that is the random variable x equal to minus infinity, x equal to plus infinity is not possible. So the probability of x equal to minus infinity, the probability of x equal to plus infinity equal to 0. They accept the endpoints minus infinity, plus infinity. The remaining points in the real line will be mapped. The discrete random variable. Suppose the sample space S contains the countable number of sample points, then we can call that kind of mapping is a discrete random variables. So in this discrete random variable, which having the countable number of sample points. Okay. So the values of the random variable x is denoted by x of x. The x of x is the values of the random variable x. So that individual values are x1 less than x2 less than x3 and so on. So the values of the random variable will be arranged in the ascending order, and the each outcome in the sample space will be mapped into the a number in the real line, or two or more outcomes also will be mapped into the single number in the real line. Now see this diagram. So this diagram shows the mapping of the sample points into the number in the real lines. Okay. This is the sample space. This sample space, the circle indicates the sample space, which contain the 8 sample points. Okay, there is a line, real line, which varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now see that first sample point in the sample space is mapped into the numerical value x1 in the real line. That numerical value we are using with the variable x1. It is actually a real number. It may be a 0.1 or it may be a 0.5 and so on. And you can see the sample points 2 and 3, both points will be mapped into the same number numerical value. in the real line, that is x2, and then the fourth sample point is mapped into the number x3 in the real line, and 5, 6, 7, these 3 points will be mapped into the another number x4. Okay, then last point is mapped into the xk. So here the x1, x2, x3 up to xk, these are the values of the random variable which is present in the sample space. So you can observe here, there are, if you can see here, the number of outcomes will be mapped into the number of values in the real line, but that will be less than or equal to number of outcomes, because the number of outcomes and the number of the numerical values may not be equal. Yeah, some points will be many points will be mapped onto the single number in the real line. So numerical valued event. Okay, so as we discussed that the random variable mapped into the numerical value in the real line. Now you can put the numerical value as a. So for the random variable x equal to a, or we can say that the random variable x less than or equal to a. Okay, so the a is the value, numerical value in the real line. Now, if you replace the constant a by some independent variable x, then that random variable becomes the random probability function. Okay, so so we can call it as a probability function. Usually, we are using the notation p of x less than or equal to x. Also, we can call it as it is a cumulative distribution function, or CDF. Okay, so there are two notation we are using to represent the CDF function, like fx of x asymptotically equal to p of x less than or equal to x. Okay, so this first notation is very important. We are many places we are using this notation. You can see here the subscript to capital X define the random variable of the particular function. Okay, then the argument, the inside bracket, there is an argument small x. So that small x defines the event. It is a event, or it is a numerical value of the particular random variable x. And since the CDF function is represents the probability of the random variable, so it will be bounded in between 0 and 1. So the CDF function is, and the limit of the CDF function is varies from 0 to 1. The extreme values of the CDF function is fx of minus infinity equal to 0, and fx of plus infinity equal to 1. That means the minimum probability value of the CDF function is 0, maximum probability value of the CDF function equal to 1. Now see the another example for the CDF function. There is a straight line which is varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. And assume that this total line is divided into three mutually exclusive event, such as the capital X, the random variable X is less than or equal to A, or the random variable X is greater than B, or the random variable X is lying between A and B, or we can call it as A less than X less than or equal to B. Here we can note down. So here the a less than x means the value a does not included in the random event. But here the x less than or equal to b means that the value b is included in that event. Okay, so we can call it as a open inequality and a closed inequality. And some events we can call it as the complementary events. For example, the total, the entire line we can divide it into two events, like a capital X greater than X, or X less than or equal to X. Okay, so we can write this event and the probability of the event that P of X greater than X equal to 1 minus probability of X less than or equal to X. So if you find out this value, it will be equal to P of x less than x, small x. Okay. So so this it will be equal to 1 minus fx of x. It's a CDF function. So from these three mutually exclusive event, we can find out the total probability of these three mutually exclusive event. by adding the probability of these three mutually exclusive events, that is P of x less than or equal to A plus P of A less than x less than or equal to B plus P of x greater than B equal to 1. Now let us take the first event probability P of x less than or equal to A equal to fx of A, and the second event probability P of x greater than B equal to 1 minus P of x less than or equal to B, which is equal to 1 minus fx of B. Okay. Then the third event P of A less than x less than or equal to B means this event is limited in the range of B and A. So the maximum limit is B, but the minimum limit is A. So we need to remove that remaining values in that particular event, means less than or equal to A. So we can rewrite this event as P of x less than or equal to B minus P of x less than or equal to A, because the x is greater than A. So we can subtract with P of x less than or equal to A. So by substituting the respective CDF function, we are getting the probability of the particular event, that is fx of B minus fx of A. So the values, the numerical values B and A should satisfy the condition, that is B is greater than A. If you see the straight line, A is a starting point, B is the end point, so the B is greater than A. So now you can look from the reverse direction from B to A. So B, since B is larger than A, so if you find out the CDF function for this numerical values, okay, that probability value is going to be decreases, even though the number is increasing from B to A. I mean the B to A, okay. The B is greater than A is less than. So when the number is decreasing from B to A, okay, but the probability value going to be increases. So it is a non-decreasing, it is satisfy the non-decreasing property. Now take the some set of mutually exclusive events x for the random variable x, okay. So the x equal to xi, where I varies from 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, then we can find out the probability function for this events xi, that is px of xi asymptotically equal to p of x equal to xi, and this probability function we can also call as a frequency function. It's also called as a frequency function. Now you can take the another example from the set of mutually exclusive event. We can take the one more event xk, which is present in that random variable. So the event the x less than or equal to xk will be equal to the sum of the all the events in the xk. Okay. So we can write this probability for that event xk, that is p of x less than or equal to xk equal to the sum of probability of all the event from x1 to xk. Okay, and you can we can represent this probability function or frequency function in terms of CDF function. Okay, so the CDF of the frequency function is fx of xk. Since there are k number of events, so we can use the summation. So summation I varies from 1 to k px of xi. So by adding all the frequency function, we can able to find out what is the CDF function. Means we are accumulating all the frequency function to get the CDF function of the particular event xk. Okay. So if you plot the value of the CDF function, it will be looks like a staircase, and with upward steps of height px of xi. Okay. And you can we can also note down from the diagram the staircase starting point is fx of x, which is equal to 0, and the end point fx of x equal to 1, which means that it's a lower probability and the upper probability of the CDF function. But in between staircase, the CDF function will be maintaining a constant value. Now we'll see the one example for the CDF function. Consider the experiment for transmitting a 3-digit messages over a noisy channel The channel has the error probability P of E equal to 2 by 5 per bit, and errors are statistically independent from digit to digit. So the probability of receiving the correct digit is P of C, which is equal to 1 minus the error probability P of E, which is equal to 3 by 5 or 0.6. Let X2 be the number of error in the received messages. Find the corresponding frequency function and the CDF. So in this problem, they considered there are the 3-digit messages are transmitted, and they given the error probability and the correct probability for the each bit. And the question is they're asking what is the frequency function and the cumulative distribution function. Okay. So because of the messages consist of the 3-bit or 3 digits, there may be chances for the 8 distinct error patterns. So from the received 3-bit messages, any bit will be error. So it will, the total combination of that error pattern will be 8. Okay. But we can't say the all the error patterns are maintaining the equal probability. Okay, because some pattern it has only 1-bit error, some pattern it has only 2-bit error, some pattern it has the no error, and so on. So it is not the equal probability event, it is an unequal probability event. So now you can take the, you can consider the one possible error event, that is the probability of the error-free event, which means that all the bits are error-free bits. Okay, all the 3 bits are error-free bits. So the probability of the error-free pattern, which is equal to P of C. Here the C indicate the correct bit. Okay, so all the 3 bits are correct bit. So it will be calculated by taking the product of the individual bit probability, that is P of C first bit, P of C second bit, P of C third bit. So the correct probability in your problem it is given, that is 3 by 5. So by substituting that value we are getting 3 by 5 whole cube. Okay. Then the second error pattern is, suppose all the bits are error. Okay, then what is the probability? So in that event, so P of EEE, which means all the digits are error. So we can get by taking the product of the probability of the individual bit error. Okay, so the error probability of error bit is P of E equal to 2 by 5, and so that we are getting 2 by 5 whole cube. Then another possibility is probability of one bit error. Okay, so the probability of one error pattern, P of ECC. So the only first bit is error, so it will be equal to P of E, P of C, P of C. So because of error 2 by 5, the remaining 2, 3, 3 by 5. So 3 by 5 whole square we are getting. And then another possibility is the probability of 2 error pattern, which means that first two bits are error. So P of EEC. So P of E, P of E, P of C. So we are getting that 2 by 5 whole square into 3 by 5. So here we have to note down the one important point, that is, so actually there are 8 sample points are from this diagram you can see that so in this experiment there are 8 sample points are present in this sample space, but these 8 sample from this 8 sample space only 4 values are mapped. Okay, so the 4 sample points the 8 sample points are mapped into the 4 numerical values in the real line. Okay, so that is the main thing in this example. Okay, because the 8 sample points in the sample space, the random variable x has only 4 possible values, such as xi equal to 0, 1, 2, and 3 errors. So this is the sample space which contain all the error pattern. There is 8 distinct error patterns. C means correct bit, E means error bit. So you can see here, this is the sample space region, and this is the real line which is varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, now we can see that the first error pattern, that is CCC. This sample point is mapped into the numerical value 1. in the real line. And you can see that these three sample points, that is ECC, CCG, CEC, these three sample points, which has only 1 bit error. Okay, so these 3 points are mapped into the same numerical number in the real line, that is 1. And take the another 3 sample 2-bit error event. Okay, ECE, EEC, CEE. So these 3 events having 2-bit errors. So these 3 events are mapped into the another real number in the line, that is 2. Then the last sample point, all the bits are error in this event. So this point is mapped into the numerical value 3 in the real line. Okay, so here the 0, 1, 2, 3 are the numerical values of the random variable x. Okay, the numerical value we are using by this notation xi. Okay, so x1, x2, x3, x4. Okay, the x1 means 0, x2 means 1, x3 means 2, x4 means 3. Okay, then the corresponding frequency function we can calculate. For example, you can take the first and the numerical value of the random variable. So the first numerical value is 0 for this random variable x. So what is the probability of x equal to 0? Okay, so that is the frequency function. Because of this is the error-free pattern, all the digits are yeah, all the correct bit only. So we know that the probability of the correct bit is 3 by 5. So 3 by 5, 3 by 5, 3 by 5, 3 by 5, 3 by 5. So 3 by 5 whole cube we are getting. Okay, but you can take the second numerical value in the random variable. So that is 1. Okay, but this numerical value coming from the 3 outcomes, that is ECC, CCE, and CEC. So we can find out the probability for all the 3 events. So okay, all the 3 events, but each event it has the 3 digits. So then if you have to substitute the respective probability of each bit, and you have to multiply it with 3. So therefore we are getting 3 into, because of only 1 bit is error, so 2 by 5, the remaining 2 bits are correct bits. So 3 by 5 whole square, because 3 by 5 4 is the probability of the correct bit. So similarly we are finding the probability of the numerical value 2, the probability of the numerical value event 3 in the random variable x. Okay, so you can see here the frequency function for the random variable, the numerical values of the random variable x1, x2, x3, x4, that is px of x1, px of x2, px of x3, and px of x4. Okay, and then by using this frequency function, we can able to find out what is the CDF function. But the CDF function will be calculated by accumulating the frequency function depend upon the numerical value. For example, if you take the third case, that is fx of x3. So the fx of x3 means the x3 indicate the numerical value of the random variable, the third numerical value of the random variable. So the third numerical value is 0, 1, 2. So 2 is the numerical value of the random variable in this case. So if you want to find out the CDF function for the numerical value 2, we can add the 3 frequency function, that is px of 0, that is the 0 error probability, px of 1, that is a 1 error probability, px of 2, that is a 2 error probability. So like that we can add all the frequency function for the fx of 2. If you take the fx of 3, so fx of 3 means we are calculating the CDF function for the numerical value 3 of the random variable. So this numerical value depend upon the for all the 4 frequency function, that is px of 0, px of 1, px of 2, and px of 3. So in that way we are calculating the CDF function for the particular random variable. So if you plot this CDF function of the random variable, it will be looking like a staircase. Okay, you can see the diagram for that particular example. The first diagram shows the frequency function. The second diagram shows the corresponding CDF function. So the CDF function is looking like a staircase. Okay, now we'll see. Okay, frequency function. The x-axis is the numerical value of the random variable. So in this example, only 4 numerical values present in the random variable, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, which indicate the 0 error pattern, 1 error pattern, 2 error pattern, and a 3 error pattern. Then corresponding frequency function of that random variable. Okay, so for the 0 error pattern, the frequency function value is 27 by 125. For 1 error pattern, it will be 54 by 125, and for 2 error pattern, the frequency function value is 36 by 125, and for 3 error pattern, it will be 8 by 25. Now, by using this frequency function, we can able to find out what is the CDF function. Okay, the CDF, in the CDF function, for each point in the real line, it will be accumulated. Okay, we can accumulate the frequency function values. Okay, except the starting point. Only starting point there is no accumulation. So both in CDF and frequency function, the starting point value will be equal only. Here also 27 by 125. Here also 27 by 127. But coming to the second point CDF function, that is fx of 1, we can add the first two frequency function value, that is 27 and 54, which is equal to 81. Okay, okay. Then for the third value, the CDF function is fx of 2. The fx of 2 is depend on the frequency function of the 0 error pattern, 1 error pattern, and a 2 error pattern, which means 27 plus 54 plus 36, which is equal to 117 by 125. Okay, then the last point, the real line is 3, or numerical value in the random variable is 3. So the CDF of this numerical value of the random variable x is the sum of all the frequency pattern, 27, 54 plus 36 plus 8, which is equal to 1. So that is the maximum value for the CDF function. Okay. Now we can observe from this CDF function, it is looking like a staircase, and in between staircase, the CDF function is maintaining a constant values. Thank you. So, so in today's session, we discussed about the random variable, random process, and how we are mapping the outcomes of the sample space into the real line, into the real number. And after that, we discussed about the CDF, cumulative distribution function, and how we are using that frequency function to calculate the CDF function. In next session, we will discuss about the continuous random variable. Thank you.